There is a specific kind of tiredness that has nothing to do with how much sleep you got last night. You know the kind. It sits underneath the surface of everything, underneath the getting up and doing what needs to be done, underneath the conversations and the commitments and the ordinary forward motion of a day. It is the tiredness of someone who has been running on something other than genuine strength for a while now. Well, mostly. And the specific, quiet determination of a person who refuses to stop even when stopping would be so much easier than continuing. That tiredness is real, and it deserves to be acknowledged before anything else is said. Because what often gets skipped in conversations about divine intervention and breakthrough, and the goodness waiting on the other side of hard seasons, is the honest naming of what it actually costs to wait. It costs something daily. It costs you in the small, private moments when the doubt is loudest. It costs you in the gap between what you are holding on to and what you can currently see as evidence that it is worth holding. It costs you in energy and peace, in the particular weight of carrying hope for something that has not yet arrived. You have been paying that cost, consistently, without much recognition, often without even fully acknowledging it to yourself. And the fact that you have continued paying it, that you have kept showing up to your own faith even on the days when it felt like an act of pure stubbornness, is not a small thing. It is the whole thing. The endurance is not the waiting room outside of what God is doing. The endurance is where the work is actually happening. If these words are finding you at a moment when you needed them, subscribe so they can keep finding you. That matters more than it might seem. Psalm 46 does not say be still and know that things will eventually improve. It says be still and know that I am God. The instruction is not about managing your anxiety until circumstances shift. It is about a specific posture of the interior, a quieting of the noise long enough to actually encounter the presence that has been there through the entire stretch of waiting. And that encounter is what changes the quality of the endurance. Not the circumstances, not the timing, not the arrival of the thing you have been waiting for. The encounter with the one who has been present in every moment you thought you were alone in this. Be still. That sounds simple. It is not simple. Being still, genuinely still, when everything in you wants to move, wants to fix, wants to find some action that will accelerate the outcome, that requires a specific kind of surrender that cannot be performed. It has to be real. It has to reach all the way down to the part of you that has been quietly believing that if you stop pushing, things will stop moving. That if you release your grip, what you have been holding will fall. Being still is the decision to let God be God without your management of the process. To acknowledge that what is being worked together for your good does not require your constant intervention in order to work. That the sovereignty the verse points to is not a theological abstraction. It is a present reality, operating in your life right now, in this very season, in this very period of waiting that has felt so much like nothing is happening. Something is happening. You simply cannot see the dimension in which it is occurring from where you are standing. Romans 8 verse 28 is perhaps the most demanding promise in Scripture. Not because it is hard to recite, because it is hard to actually believe when the circumstances directly in front of you seem to contradict it. When the loss is real, when the pain is real, when what you prayed for did not come in the form you needed it to come in, or in the timing that would have made sense. When the thing that happened does not look, from any available angle, like it is working together for good. The promise does not say that everything that happens is good. It says that everything is being worked together toward good. That is a different claim entirely. It is not a claim about the individual events. It is a claim about the trajectory, about what is happening across the whole sweep of your story when you zoom out far enough to see the movement rather than only the individual moments. And that trajectory cannot be evaluated from inside the middle of a hard chapter. It can only be seen from further along. From the vantage point of someone who has moved through the difficulty and can now look back and see what was being prepared, what was being cleared, what was being built in the very moments that felt most like collapse. You are not at that vantage point yet, but it exists. And the people who have reached it, the ones who moved through what felt like the definitive proof that the promise was false, almost uniformly say the same thing on the other side, that they would not remove what they went through even if they could. Not because the pain was not real, because of what the pain was producing in them while it was happening, because of what they found about themselves, about their faith, about the character of God in the moments that required them to trust without evidence. That testimony is being built in you right now, in the very days that feel most empty. There is a posture that enables what is being described here, and it is worth naming specifically because it is not the posture most people naturally hold when they are in a hard season. It is not the posture of waiting passively while hoping something external shifts. That posture positions you as a recipient of outcomes you have no participation in. It makes the faith feel entirely contingent on what God does next, rather than on who God is regardless of what comes next. That kind of faith is real, but it is fragile. It depends on circumstances cooperating, and circumstances do not always cooperate on the timeline faith would prefer. The posture that holds is active surrender, bringing your genuine needs, your genuine fears, your genuine exhaustion before God without managing how He receives them. Leaving the outcomes in hands larger than yours without picking them back up an hour later when the anxiety returns. Choosing day by day, sometimes hour by hour, to believe in the trajectory even when the current moment offers nothing visible to believe in. This posture is not passive. It is one of the most demanding practices available to a human being. And it produces, over time, something that cannot be produced any other way, a faith that is not dependent on outcomes. A peace that exists independently of whether circumstances are cooperating. A rootedness that persists through difficulty because it is not anchored to the difficulty resolving. That rootedness is what you are building, in the very days that feel like they are producing nothing. There is a link in the description where you can support this work if it has been part of how you have been holding on. What is given from that kind of genuine place keeps this reaching more people in more hard seasons. That matters deeply. The surrender that Scripture points toward is not a one-time event. That is perhaps the most important thing to understand about it practically. It is a daily practice, sometimes a moment-by-moment practice. You lay something down, and then you pick it back up again before the morning is over, not because you are weak, but because the habit of control runs very deep. And the practice is not the laying down. The practice is the returning. Coming back again after you picked it back up. Laying it down again without shame for having needed to retrieve it. Each return is not a failure to have learned from the previous laying down. Each return is the practice itself, repeated until the release becomes more natural than the grip. This is what growth and surrender actually looks like from the inside. Not a dramatic moment of release, after which you never struggle again. A long, gradual, sometimes tedious process of returning again and again to the same open-handed posture. A training of the interior. A slow recalibration of what you actually believe about whose hands are more capable of holding your life, yours or God's. Every time you return is a vote for the belief that His hands are better. And those votes accumulate over time into a faith that is genuinely different from the faith you started with. More tested, more honest, less dependent on feeling certain, more rooted in the character of the one it is directed toward. The peace that is being described throughout Scripture is consistently placed in contexts of difficulty rather than ease. Paul writes about the peace that surpasses understanding from a prison cell. Jesus offers peace to disciples who are about to face the most disorienting and devastating event of their lives. The peace is not the fruit of circumstances improving. It is the fruit of genuine encounter with a presence that is larger than circumstances. And that encounter is available right now. In this season, in the middle of what is unresolved and heavy and still uncertain, you do not have to wait for the waiting to end in order to have peace. You do not have to wait for the outcome to arrive to rest. The rest is available here, in the middle of the process, to anyone willing to be genuinely still long enough to receive it. Not the rest of everything being resolved, The rest of being held by something that does not waver regardless of what the circumstances are doing. That rest is real. It is available. And it is what the verse is pointing toward when it says he gives rest to the weary. If you are weary, and you are in the specific way that sustained waiting makes people weary, the offer on the table is not wait longer, and eventually you will be less tired. The offer has come, and I will give you rest now. In the middle of the waiting, in the middle of the unresolved, in the middle of the uncertainty, come as you actually are, not as you think you should be to receive what is being offered. What is being worked together for your good is still in motion. It did not stall when your faith wavered. It did not pause when you cried. It did not slow when you doubted whether the promise was real. It is moving with the same consistent, precise faithfulness it has always moved with, whether you could feel it or not, whether you could see evidence of it or not, whether the circumstances cooperated with the narrative you hoped for or offered something entirely more difficult. The trajectory is toward good. The good is coming, and the version of you that will receive it is being shaped right now, in the waiting, in the surrender, in the daily choosing to believe in the trajectory, even when the current moment is hard to interpret. Be still. Know that He is God. Let that be enough today. And trust that what is being worked together is something worth the weight of what has been required to get there. It always is, for those who love God, for those who are called according to His purpose. That includes you. It has always included you.